Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatho Jayam Mudirayet. Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Hyabhadrani Vithunoti Suhrit Satam Nastya Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavada Sevaya Bhagavad Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Atnanatimirandhasya Nananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Radhe Vrindavanadhishe Karunamrita Vahini Kayani Japadabja Tasyam Mahyam Pratiyadam Bhajami Badami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurasmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Bharadram Tadho Mama Nasti Gatir Nakapi. I'm going to turn off my video because I just really feel so sick right now. Hope you don't mind. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Verse 7. Uddhava Uvacha Krishnadhyumaninim Loche Girnesh Ajagarenaha Kimnuna Kushalam Bhruyam Gadashrishu Griheshwaham. Uddhava Uvacha Krishnadhyumaninim Loche Girneshwajagarenaha Kimnuna Kushalam Bhruyam Gatashrishu Griheshwaham. Sri Uddhava said, My dear Vidura, the sun of the world, Lord Krishna, has set, and our house has now been swallowed by the great snake of time. What can I say to you about our welfare? Sri Uddhava said, My dear Vidura, the sun of the world, Lord Krishna, has set, and our house has now been swallowed by the great snake of time. What can I say to you about our welfare? The disappearance of Krishna's sun may be explained as follows. According to the commentary of Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, Vidura was struck with great sorrow when he got the hint of the annihilation of the great Yadu dynasty, as well as his own family, the Kuru dynasty. Uddhava could understand the grief of Vidura, and therefore he first of all wanted to sympathize with him by saying that after the sunset, everyone is in darkness. Since the entire world was merged in the darkness of grief, neither Vidura nor Uddhava nor anyone else could be happy. Uddhava was as much aggrieved as Vidura, and there was nothing further to be said about their welfare. The comparison of Krishna to the sun is very appropriate. As soon as the sun sets, darkness automatically appears. But The darkness experienced by the common man does not affect the sun itself, either at the time of sunrise or of sunset. Lord Krishna's appearance and disappearance are exactly like that of the sun. He appears and disappears in innumerable universes, and as long as he is present in a particular universe, there is all transcendental light in that universe. But the universe from which he passes away is put into darkness. His pastimes, however, are everlasting. The Lord is always present in some universe, just as sun is present in either the eastern or the western hemisphere. The sun is always present either in India or in America. But when the sun is present in India, the American land is in darkness. And when the sun is present in America, the Indian hemisphere is in darkness. As the sun appears in the morning and gradually rises to the meridian and then again sets in one hemisphere while simultaneously rising in the other. So Lord Krishna's disappearance in one universe and beginning of his different pastimes in another takes place simultaneously. As soon as one pastime is finished here, it is manifested in other universe. And as the sunrise takes place once in 24 hours, similarly, the pastimes of Lord Krishna takes place in a universe once in a daytime of Brahma, the account of which is given in Bhagavad Gita. I don't know how many solar years there. But however, the Lord is present, but wherever the Lord is present, all his different pastimes, as described in the revealed scriptures, takes place at regular intervals. As at sunset, the snakes become powerful, the thieves are encouraged, ghosts become active, the lotus become disfigured, and the Chakravaki laments. So, with the disappearance of Lord Krishna, the atheists feel enlivened and the devotees become sorry. Om Adnana Timirandasya Adnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, in this chapter, which is entitled Remembrance of Lord Krishna, it is a conversation between Vidura and Uddhava. And Vidura is asking the question to Uddhava, and Uddhava couldn't reply in the beginning because of the excessive sorrow that he was feeling by his continuous remembrance of Krishna. Continuous remembrance, it is not a temporary remembrance. Uddhava was continuously remembering Krishna because his position was so exalted. From childhood, he was such a great devotee, and he could never forget Krishna. Uddhava, who is the disciple of Brihaspati, he was a Nani Bhakta. He was not a Prema Bhakta. However, he became that after he met with the gopis. So, Uddhava's devotion was so deep that so many ecstatic symptoms appeared in his body. And Vidura could clearly understand that Uddhava has attained that perfection of love. So Uddhava came back to the external consciousness and finally started speaking with Vidura. And Uddhava could clearly understand the heart of Vidura. It was, his heart was broken. Both Uddhava's and Vidura's heart was broken because Krishna, the sun, has set in this particular universe. So just to empathize or to express his empathy to Vidura, Uddhava is first speaking in a philosophical way in this particular verse, saying, Krishna Dyumani, meaning Krishna, the sun has set, and our house has been swallowed by the snake of time. What can I speak about our welfare? So in this verse, see, Krishna, the sun has set, and so how can anyone be happy in this context? So in this verse, um, while empathizing with Vidura's grief, while empathizing with Vidura, sharing his grief, Uddhava is trying to console him. But the fact remained that their association with Krishna, in this lifetime or on this planet, it had come to an end. Both Kuru dynasty and Yadu dynasty, along with Krishna, everything is annihilated. And this is not to be said that lightly because, first of all, Krishna, his personality, we have to keep in our heart when we are speaking about this. Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, his presence, his personality, his beauty, his mind-attracting beauty, which has spun the lives of all those who are around him, that personality has gone. And of course, the purport Srila Prabhupada clearly explains Krishna can never go anywhere because he is eternal. He's transcendental. He's purely spiritual. There is no such thing as Krishna never being there. Krishna is always there. And yet, we can understand this in another way because it is like in our own life, when we get attached to a friend or someone who we like so much, when that person departs this world, our heart breaks. Even great personalities, great saintly personalities who we have come to know since we have come to ISKCON, when they are leaving this world, our heart is really breaking. Can you imagine the presence of Krishna really, in front of your eyes during that lifetime, how it would have impacted great devotees like Uddhava and Vidura, that they were feeling really completely heartbroken. And that is with Krishna going, knowing fully well, Krishna is immortal, he is eternal, knowing fully well, still they were feeling so much of pain because the separation is real. And along with that, the great dynasties like Kuru and Yadu dynasty completely vanished. What kind of a blow is that? How can anyone tolerate such a great disaster? And so, even though Uddhava is bringing his philosophical conclusions to pacify Vidura, the fact cannot be changed. The unhappy circumstance cannot be changed. No one can be happy under these circumstances because the snake of time has taken away all these things from their life. So the grief they are feeling in their heart is real. So even though Uddhava is trying to pacify Vidura, the feeling of separation is so intense. How did Uddhava come to that state? This is the most underlying feeling when you study this verse. How did Uddhava come to this state? Because the sattvika vikaras that appeared in the body of Uddhava, it was indicative of his highest spiritual attainment. It was not anything ordinary, and Vidura could easily see that because Vidura was also a very spiritually advanced personality. And we know that bhakti, when it we say that sadhana is the means by which we attain sadhya. And what is the sadhana? Our sadhana is chanting the holy name of Krishna. And sadhya is attainment of prema bhakti. And so we know Bhakti Devi is an expansion of Srimati Radharani. And without her mercy, one cannot attain that. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he writes, one attains perfection that corresponds to his meditation. And that's the topic I gave in today's, for the class. One attains perfection that corresponds to his meditation. We have to think about this very deeply, So it is reasonable for us to assume that this perfection, which is saturated with this feeling with the emotion, perfection which is saturated with emotion of love, how can one attain that? It is only by a practice with a mood of emotion. So, in order to correspond to this goal, what we are talking about, which is prema bhakti, our sadhana, it must be really imbued with spiritual emotion. I was reading a quote from a French poet. He writes, "Absence extinguishes small passions and increases great ones. As the wind will blow out a candle and fan a fire." I will read it again. "Absence extinguishes small passions and increases great ones. As the wind will blow out a candle and fan a fire." This is actually what happens in Vipralambha. We hear about Sambhoga and Vipralambha when we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam and all our Vaishnava Vedic scriptures, and we hear these words, Vipralambha. So the mood of Vipralambha is the thing which is most predominant emotion that is there in a devotee who has attained perfection in their spiritual life. So we know that we should understand, we are given the holy name, Nama, to chant it perfectly, to get to the result, which is prema. And there is a terminology that I came across. It is called Nama Prema Mala. It is actually a garland which is made of Nama and Prema, which is actually sadhana and sadhya. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a combined form of this sadhana and sadhya. Why? He is a combination of Krishna and Radha. And who is Krishna? Krishna is, another name for Krishna is a Sringara Rasa Raja, and Radharani is Madhanakya Mahabhavamai. Mahabhava is only experienced by Srimati Radharani, and she is the personification of Mahabhava. And these two are combined in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are so fortunate we are going to have Gauranga Mahaprabhu in our temple. We can bathe them, we can bathe him, we can dress him, we can worship him. We have to take up this service with this feeling of understanding who he is. So even though he's a combination of Radha and Krishna, and he's a combination of sadhana and prema, he is always exhibiting this feeling of deep separation. Why is he experiencing this feeling of separation? Even though you can say that these are two opposite feelings. So the two opposite feelings put in a container, that is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And yet he is crying in separation from Krishna. So to understand that, we have to understand what was Radharani's and the Gopis' impact on Vidura, which Uddhava, which transformed his life. And why would Krishna want to accept that mode of separation, which is perfectly exhibited by Srimati Radharani, to experience it, to taste it? Why would Krishna want to do that? In the form of Lord Chaitanya. And we know Lord Chaitanya was a human. He accepted a human form. He took the form of a human being and accepted that mood. And there has to be a purpose for this. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, Radhikera bhava iche Uddhava darshane, sei bhava mate prabhu rehe ratri dine. Just as Radhika went mad at the sight of Uddhava, so Lord Chaitanya was obsessed day and night with the madness of separation. So Uddhava, he was a Jnani Bhakta, and he was not a Premi Bhakta. So when Jnana is there, Prema is absent. Jnana is a dry process, but Prema is full of mellows. And this is the difference between Jnana and Prema. And the Jnani Bhakta became a Premi Bhakta by coming across, literally experiencing the love exhibited by the damsels of Braja. So also there is another terminology called Sadhya Priti. And Sadhya Priti is something that is the love of gopis. Because sadhana, as I said, is the means and sadhya is the end, and which is actually nama bhajana and prema. And purpose is to get this sadhya priti. So when Krishna sent Uddhava to see what the gopis were experiencing, there was a purpose behind it. Krishna said to Uddhava, he gave him a message of love. He said that Brajavasis, they are feeling this acute pangs of separation, and they are literally dying, Uddhava. So you please go there and you deliver my message of love and console them. And this was the message of Krishna. And Uddhava took it to his heart. And when he reached there, he found gopis were really dying. And now in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are a couple of verses which talks about the gopis' feeling. So gopis were, at that, when Uddhava first met the gopis, he could see that they gave up all their shyness. They gave up their shame, and they were totally mad. And one of the verses in the 10th canto, the gopis were saying like this. Iti gopyo hi govinde gada vakkaya manasaha Krishna dude samayate uddhave tyaktva laukika. So without any shame, in the presence of a stranger, they were calling out, "Oh Krishna, oh Gopi Jana Vallabha, why did you leave us?" And they were calling out and asking certain questions to Uddhava. And again, there is one more verse I will read. This is in the same chapter. The gopis completely forgot their shame. And so Shukadeva Goswami is saying, Tyaktva laukika, gayantaya priya karmani, rudantasya cha gada kriya, tasya samsmritya yani kaishora balayo. The gopis were always thinking of the leelas Krishna performed in his adolescence and all the conjugal loving dealings they had with him in Brajabhumi. Remembering those pastimes and singing about them, the damsels of Brajabhumi gave up all shyness and became completely mad. So, when that happened, Uddhava realized, yes, by coming to this Brajabhumi, my life has become glorified. This was Uddhava's realization. And in that context, Uddhava speaks, he says, Vande Nanda Brajastrinam Padarenum Abhikshana Yasham Hari Katho Geetam Punati Bhuvanatrayam. Uddhava said, I pay my obeisances at the lotus feet of the damsels of Brajabhumi. I desire to get some dust from their lotus feet because they sing Krishna Gita, all the nice pastimes of Krishna in Brajabhumi. It purifies the three worlds. I want to take the dust from their lotus feet and put it on my head. I will wear that as the ornament on my head. If I can have it, I will think my life has become successful. And then my heart, which is dry with the jnana, will be soaked with some mellow. I think so. And so then he comes across Srimati Radharani. This is the main point I wanted to get to today. So when she came across Radharani, she was lying on the ground and her head was on the lap of the other gopis, and her whole body was cold, freezing cold, without any life. Life symptoms were leaving, and her life was about to depart. And literally, she was in a dying condition. And then Radharani, in a very, very feeble voice, she was speaking to her companions that she's saying that this at this time, because of the feelings of separation from Krishna, my body is burning with high fever of 110 degrees. Now, 110-degree fever is something that you would experience at the time of death. Every pore of your body will be emitting fire. That is the kind of fever she was experiencing. Not only that, she was experiencing the pain as though she has consumed Kalakuda poison. Kalakuda poison, this is another interesting subject. This is the poison that was vomited by Vasuki, the great snake, during the churning of the ocean of milk. When Vasuki vomited the poison, we all know that Lord Shiva gathered it in his palms of his hand and he swallowed it. And Parvati immediately held Lord Shiva's neck with both her hands, and the poison stayed at Lord Shiva's neck, and therefore he got the name Nilakantha. Now this poison, Kalakuda poison, is such a strong poison that it could burn the entire universe. That is the strength of this poison. And the Lord Shiva, he retained it in his neck. And in our neck, there is a chakra. You know that in the body, there are so many chakras. There is a chakra called Vishuddha chakra. And this Vishuddha chakra is situated in our neck. And it's very Vishuddha, as the name is implying. Vishuddha means it is pure. And this chakra is like a liaison between two other chakras in our body, which is the chakra of the heart and the chakra of the mind. Chakra of the heart is where we have the cord of emotion. And chakra of the mind is actually the voice of reason. And so this Vishuddha chakra is situated between the heart and the mind chakras. So when we experience, when people experience sicknesses of the throat and not able to speak, and they have various problems, ENT, ear and nose and throat related problems. That actually indicates somehow this chakra is not fully activated. That is the reason for that. But actually, to activate this chakra, it's not an easy thing at all. It is a mystic practice, because there is a yantra situated within this chakra. It's like a lotus petal, and it has got like different shades of blue. Vishuddha chakra is depicted like that. And the ruling god of that is actually Sadashiva, and Lord Shiva's Shakti, which one aspect of Gauri, or Mother of the Universe. They are the ruling, presiding deities. And so this harnessing of this Vishuddha chakra is, it can really awaken psychic powers. And these are all like mystic yoga practices. And Lord Shiva could do this because he is the presiding deity, and he has the ability to harness it. And therefore, he was able to retain this amazing poison in his neck. And Radharani is now speaking about this Kalakuda poison. The Kala, why I'm going into this detail is because to make us understand, we have to feel it in our every pore of our body. Radharani compares that 110 degree fever, and also he compares the pain she's feeling like a thunderbolt, lightning strikes from Indra's thunderbolt, or drinking Kalakuda poison. That was the pain she was going through. No one in the creation can go through that type of pain. That is the pain Radharani was going through in separation from Krishna. And Krishna alone understands the extent of that sacrifice, the extent of the emotional torture that Radharani goes through. Nobody else can. We hear about Vipralambha, Sambhoga. We have so many questions about this. What is this? Already the gopis experienced some part of that, and Radharani's experience is the topmost experience of this pain. And she is undergoing this because she cannot do anything other than that. And this is why she is so dear to Krishna. No one is so dear to Krishna than Srimati Radharani. And so she was explaining this, she was telling this to her friends, and saying that she's telling to her gopi friends that I cannot tolerate this anymore. My life is leaving my body, but I cannot leave also. And I want to give this up. I cannot go any beyond this. And death is not coming for me. There is a great obstacle why death is not coming. And Rupa Goswami writes about this in Lalita Madhava. And there is a verse, I'm not going to the verse because we exceeded our time. But what she says, Rupa Goswami writes in Lalita Madhava, Radharani is speaking, looking at a crow that was flying above the head. The crow was flying towards Mathura. And Radharani immediately started pointing towards this crow. And he calls out to the crow, and she says, hey, crow, you come over here. You are going to Mathura? Are you going to see the Lord of Mathura? And so, if you are seeing this Mathura Natha, and when you meet him, can you please offer my obeisances to him and convey a message? And the message that I give you, what is that message? She says that you understand, if a house is on fire, what is the first duty of the householder? Even if the house is on fire and the householder is dying, his first duty is to let the domestic animals who are locked up there to go. You have to release the domestic animals because they are locked up in some barn or somewhere. You have to be compassionate and allow those domestic animals to leave, even if your whole house is burning down. So you yourself may be burned to ashes, but let them go. So my body is like a house which is caught on fire. And who has set the fire on my body? That is you, Krishna. And that Krishna who has set this fire on this house of my body, please, be merciful. Please open that bolt. Please open the bolt which is holding back my life so that I can leave. So please, crow, you please go and tell to Krishna, my life is like these domestic animals which are caught, and please open this gate so I can go. But the animal is not able to go because the bolt is there. And what is that bolt? That bolt is, you told us that you are coming back. When you left Vrindavan, you said that you will come back. And that promise is this strong bolt. And we are surviving here, Krishna, because of that. Then please come here and unbolt this. So in that mood, she was dying. And then she told her friends, I cannot bear this anymore. Can you please take me to the banks of Yamuna under the Kadamba tree? So Radharani says that both Yamuna and Kadamba tree are her closest friends, and take some mud from Yamuna and put it on my body, and you write the name Shama, Shama, Shama on my body, and you offer some Tulasi Manjaris and continuously chant the name of Krishna when my life breath is going away. Uddhava was stunned. He was standing there with eyes wide open. And then he realized, yeah, this is Radha. This is Radharani. Many times he has heard about Radha from Krishna, his dearmost friend. And even in his sleep, Krishna is calling out Radhe, 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 Radhe. And Krishna, and then Uddhava felt, I have heard of all these things in Mathura, that Krishna is calling out Radha's name in his sleep. This definitely is Radha. So Uddhava recognizes Radharani. How he recognizes? Seeing the seriousness of her condition. And this is the condition that Krishna accepted in the body of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And so in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, just as Radha went mad at the sight of Uddhava, because Uddhava was resembling Krishna, she went mad. And so Lord Chaitanya was very much obsessed day and night with the madness of separation. And then it says that the heart of Lord Chaitanya is the image of Radhika's emotions. The feelings of pleasure and pain arise constantly therein. In the final portion of his pastimes, Lord Chaitanya was obsessed with the madness of separation from Lord Krishna. He acted in erroneous ways and talked deliriously. So this is the reason for this mood of Vipralambha. And this is what converted Uddhava, who was a Jnana Bhakta, into a Prema Bhakta. And what is that? It is the mercy of the Vrajabasis. It is the mercy of Srimati Radharani. So when we look at how when I began talking about the purpose of sadhana and what is sadhya, which is prema, and conscious practice. When we look into that very carefully and very deeply, because if you are a serious practitioner, you have to take this to the core of your heart. You have to look deep within yourself and see, am I moving in that direction? We are nowhere there. We are not. We are not. We are not advanced devotees. We are not in anywhere near prema bhakti stage. But there is nothing preventing us in aspiring for this. And to aspire for that, one has to understand the mood of Lord Chaitanya. Why did Krishna take that up? This is clearly understandable when you look at Srimati Radharani's condition. And even though there is no way for us to experience what a lightning bolt would feel like, even with a little sickness, my throat was hurting. I couldn't bear the pain. What to speak about a pain that Srimati Radharani was experiencing and willing to experience. And Krishna, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, wanted to willingly experience the pain of separation. And that is the price that such devotees who attain that state, that the price they pay to experience Krishna Prema. And we may not be qualified for any of these things, but at least we have to have feelings. At least we have to have emotions. We must have, these emotions are not to be forced to happen. One will naturally feel this when you try to really understand, when you are studying Srimad Bhagavatam, and when we hear these descriptions, like what Radharani was going through, the pain, the comparison of the pain she was going through as lightning bolts striking her body, or Kalakuda poison, or examples of this. We just read, we skim through that. We do not know what that pain is like. We know the pain of a throat pain or a headache or a body pain. Even that we cannot tolerate. But our physical body is not made in such a way that can tolerate any of these things. We will all go through these type of pains. But can we experience that pain within our heart? Certainly we can, because when we do that, there will be some mercy coming in our direction. And so Uddhava was trying to console Vidura, but at the same time, both Uddhava and Vidura knew Krishna, the sun, has set in this universe, and their feeling of separation was so deep, their heart broken, and knowing fully well that he is immortal. The Lord is immortal. There is no disappearance of the sun anywhere. Sun is always present. But having met Krishna, having experienced his association, it's so difficult to let him go. It is so difficult. Even ordinary people to whom we get attached, it is so difficult to let go. What to speak about exalted devotees' departure from this world? What to speak about, Krishna's departure after his pastime? It's not possible to describe that in words at all. But our heart, heart has the chords of emotion, as I was saying, and mind, it is a voice of reason. With that chords of emotion, one can experience this. If there is no chord of emotion, we will be going through the motion of, the motions in our motion of going to practice. It's definitely better than, it is definitely better than no practice at all. But if the heart is not touched, one cannot relate even a tiny little bit, even as we read. And this is why, when we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita and understanding the position of Lord Chaitanya, the Vipralamba Bhava that is taught through his life, then, we make some slight progress in our life. So with that, I will conclude here. Anybody has any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna, Premananda, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Just to say, I have not heard anything like this in my whole life, so graphic. My mind was feeling challenged the way you presented it, my Krishna. Thank you so much to take it, for literally taking us to that spot. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything else? If not, we can close. Hare Krishna Prabhu, I think we can stop it here.
Yes, Mataji, I also need to get into call. Thank you so much.
Okay. Hare Krishna. You are going to say something? Okay.